Hey guys, this is Baby Doll Soaps and Things back with another video, another chat. So, as you guys know, the movie Sinners by Ryan Coogler, starring Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, Delroy Lindo, and a very colorful cast, has broke the box office for a while. It's grossed $2 million worldwide. It's even being re-released this month. IMAX theaters, because wow. I've seen it twice. I saw it Easter weekend, that Sunday. I saw it before going into work for the night shift. And then I went with my family to see it, and then I saw it a week later again. You know, we just had to see it again. It was that damn good. Ryan Coogler, there hasn't been a film that he has not effed up yet. And he's not going to F up at all. Okay? Because Ryan Coogler is a genius. Support this bruh all the way. You know, he did a wonderful job with Wakanda Forever. I saw that almost 3 years ago. Black Panther. Ryan Coogler is it. This dude is, well, we need him. Okay, so I'm here to talk about a little controversy around Sinners. Sinners caught the attention of a TikToker by the name of Matthew Torres. Matthew Torres, who I consider him to be a very annoying clickbait TikToker. Only 3 years ago, Matthew Torres was kissing the butt of Ryan Coogler with Wakanda Forever in regards to Latino representation. Ryan Coogler made Namor a Latino because Latinos were crying, oh, there are no Latino superheroes, la 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 la. So he made Namor in Wakanda Forever a Latino, which is Namor, which is actually Latin or Spanish. I did say Latin, is Spanish for devil, evil. I think that's what it means. But that's what they made. That's what they turned him into, Namor. The actor was Tenoch Huerta, who was fine, sexy, nice, thick, strong brown body. Oh, he was hot. And he even introduced the Mexican Aztec and Mexican indigenous culture into the movie. So, you know, Ryan Coogler, what I can say is when he does things from a historical fact, he does his research thoroughly. And he's spot on. So Matthew Torres was kissing his ass, telling him he's an honorary Latino, yada, 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 yada. Okay, let's fast forward to 2025. As you see in the movie Sinners, when Smoke and Stack twins are back in Mississippi. It was in Clarksdale, Mississippi, where they went back to, and they were around a shopping center. And this movie was very intricate because it represented different backgrounds of people. Now, it took place in 1932, which, you know, down in Mississippi, areas in the South, Jim Crow is alive and kicking. So, you know, as you saw in the beginning, I'm not going to tell too much about it because some of y'all haven't seen it, so I'm not going to spoil it, but it shows, you know, brutal Jim Crow history, or how blacks were living down in the South and how other communities were living in Mississippi, like the Chinese, like the Irish, like the Choctaw Natives, that sort of thing. And you saw that all in the business district. However, Matthew Torres got his panties in a bunch because he didn't see any Latino representation in the movie Sinners. Wow. You went from praising Ryan Coogler for putting Latinos in Wakanda Forever, now to bitching about, oh, what happened, man? Yeah, I saw that tamale sign. Yeah, there was a tamale sign if you saw the movie in Sinners. You saw that tamale sign. And a lot of these businesses, like a Chinese couple and the tamale business, a lot of these businesses were incorporated in black communities because these were people that would only sell to black people, especially in Jim Crow South. A lot of stores back in 1932, if you were my complexion or darker, they didn't want you in the stores. So other places, you know, other ethnicities were incorporated into our community to sell goods to us. However, he was pitching a bitch. Oh, there was no representation at all. Let me ask you something, Mr. Torres. Are you just saying things because you're trying to get a rise out of people on TikTok? Here's the thing. If you don't know about the Mexican Repatriation Act, This was the Mexican Repatriation Act of 1929, okay? Now, between 1925 to 1930, Mexicans were in the Mississippi Delta. They were in the Mississippi Delta for a short time, and they were there because white sharecroppers hired them to take care of their land, hired them to do, the work that they wouldn't do, or the work that they didn't want to pay Negroes like myself to do. So they brought Mexicans down for cheap labor to work in the Mississippi Delta. However, I want to say even though there were a few Mexicans probably still left in the Mississippi Delta, a lot of Mexicans under this Mexican Repatriation Act were deported. Whether you were Mexican American or Mexican born, were deported. But this act more so targeted main border states like California, like Texas. So the Mississippi Delta wasn't really, I'm not saying that it wasn't affected. To a degree, yes, because there were Mexicans from the Mississippi Delta who were sent back, even if they were born here, Mexican Americans. Kind of similar to what the hell's going on today with that orange fucker in the White House who wants to deport American-born citizens back to a country, or send them to a country that's not even theirs. See how history repeats itself? What I find interesting about people like Matthew Torres, and I want to ask, and this is no disrespect because I'm not trying to crap on the entire community, but let's face it, a lot in the Latino community, a lot of y'all are anti-black, okay? A lot of y'all are defenders and protectors of white supremacy. So my question is, why are you so obsessed? This is a community that looks down on people with my complexion or darker. You look down, you talk about us, but yet you're sitting up here obsessing about us, talking about us, and bitching about why you weren't properly represented in a movie that really was not about you. Okay? The reason why the Chinese, the Irish, the Choctaws, and all of them were in there, that's because they were in that part of the Mississippi Delta around that time, 1932. Now, even though there were a few Mexicans probably still left, maybe that's what the homage with the tamale sign was, a shout out to let you know that yes, there were a few Mexicans still in the Mississippi Delta, but very scarce after the Mexican Repatriation Act took place. So before you open your mouth, you might want to do some research before you just start, oh, come on, man, and you ripped off a Latino film. For one, let me research from Dusk Till Dawn. Dusk Till Dawn is not a Latino film, okay? And for you to want to take pride in a film that demonized you is funny. Let me research from Dusk Till Dawn. I was, 10 when this movie came out, about? Okay? From Dusk Till Dawn, yes, was directed by Robert Rodriguez, but the protagonists in that movie, okay, were Quentin Tarantino and George Clooney, who were, the Gecko brothers. They were bank robbers that killed some police officers, and they were trying to cross into the Mexican border, and they kidnapped the family, took them hostage. Okay, it was directed by Robert Rodriguez, but it was written by Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino's not Mexican. He's not Latino. He's Italian American, very much so, on his father's side anyway. Okay? And you're sitting here trying to give praise to a movie that made the antagonists, who were two white men who were criminals, look like the heroes, and make y'all look like antagonists. Y'all were demonized in that. So you're sitting up here talking about he ripped it off and didn't give credit. That's not true, because I found a video where Ryan Coogler was given homage from Dusk Till Dawn to Quentin Tarantino to Steven Spielberg and to all these directors out here. He was given homage to that. Ryan Coogler and I are about the same age. We're about the same age group, okay? So we grew up in the same time watching the same kind of movies, and he was talking about that, and he was giving shout outs to those movies and to those directors. So again, you're wrong. I kind of find it funny that you want to sit here and talk about there's no representation of you in a film that ain't about you, but you don't even want to represent the black people in your community. I looked at your news footage, like from Telemundo, from Univision. I hardly, maybe a speckle here and there. You may have a black reporter here and there, but it's very few and far in between. Okay? Y'all barely have any black reporters in y'all media. I was sitting last week because I was waiting on my tacos. I go to an authentic Mexican restaurant at times, good food. It's in Langley Park. And I go there, get my quick lunch on my way to work. And I'm going to tell you something. I was watching the news in Telemundo. I did not see not one damn black reporter reporting on any stories. All I saw were fair, white-looking reporters. Okay? You guys do that with your Alma Awards. Okay? You don't even represent the black people in the Latin music industry in your Alma Awards. And for those who don't know what Alma means, American Latin Music Awards. Okay? You don't even represent the black people in that. I used to watch telenovelas growing up. Okay? Hardly saw anybody that looked like me in your telenovelas. And if you did, you either had the black people that you had in your telenovelas, you had them playing sneaky links, you had them playing oversexed characters, or you had them as criminals, or you had them as domestics. That is what you did to the black people in your community. You have the nerve to sit here and talk about representation when you want to hide and you want to act like Afro-Latinos are like unicorns. They don't exist. They're not real. Oh, there's no such thing as an Afro-Latino. It's just Latinos. When you know good and damn well, more than 50% of the population in the Latino community is black. But you want to whitewash that. You want to drown that out. And then you have the nerve to sit up here and ask about representation. That's the same crap you guys did last year to Kendrick Lamar when he was doing his Juneteenth celebration, and this cholo-looking podcaster was talking about, hey, what up, Kendrick? What about us Mexicans, man? You ain't invite our Mexicans to the Juneteenth celebration, man. Hey. And then you didn't even know what Juneteenth was about. You stated Juneteenth was about a massacre. And the funny thing was, when he kept talking, I knew what he was talking about, but he got his dates mixed up. What he was talking about, that massacre, was the Black Wall Street massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma, between, I want to say, May 29th and maybe June 3rd, 1921. That's what you were talking about. A whole 56 years later, after Juneteenth's birth. Now, if you want to talk about slavery being a massacre, yeah, it was. The biggest massacre out here that one can say. But, that's not what Juneteenth is about. Juneteenth was about President Abraham Lincoln passing his Emancipation Proclamation of 1862, okay? That freed slaves in Texas. They were the first to get their freedom before the Union finished up the war and freed all the slaves down south. That's what it was about, okay? That's what Juneteenth is. You want to be a part of something, but don't know what it's about. Do you ask black people to partake in Cinco de Mayo? You don't even have the black people in your community taking part in Cinco de Mayo or Latina Dad activities. You try to tuck them away, wash them out, and you don't put black people in your movies. And guess what? We don't ask, we don't inquire, we don't wonder. We let you have your moment, okay? It's like y'all have this obsession with us. You're bitching about how you're not represented, but you don't even want to represent the people, the black people in your community. Okay, I'm going to tell you another thing. Back to the telenovela thing. I'm going to go back to the telenovela. The first telenovela I saw with a black woman leading a cast was called Jica de Silva. Okay? Jica de Silva. Okay? And that was the first one. What's her name? Thais Araújo. I think that's how you say her name. She's a black Brazilian. The telenovela lasted for about a year, but that was my first time ever seeing something. They call it Chica de Silva. What it was about a black Brazilian woman. She was born into slavery. Okay, she was born into slavery. However, she became one of the richest, most powerful women in Brazil. She had children with her owner, something like that, many children with him, and then when he died, he left a bulk of his estate, his goods, his portions to her and their children. And she became one of the richest women in Brazil. She was known as, her real name was Francisca da Silva de Oliveira, also known as aka Chica de Silva. So yes, this took place in colonial Brazil when the Portuguese took control of, that part of South America. That was the first time I had ever in my life seen a black telenovela. A telenovela with so many black people in it. I was floored. Okay? But y'all don't do that. Y'all don't even do that in your telenovelas. You don't do that in your media. You don't do that in anything. Everything that you guys do, even with the Hispanic Heritage Month and all that stuff that you do, you guys will talk about the indigenous people. Cool, because that's also a great part of your history. But you guys will drown out the African heritage in your community and the black people in your community. In your movies, you find the whitest looking people. You put as many white people in there as possible. Because let's face it, a lot of y'all are white praising. Okay? A lot of y'all are white praising. Okay? I'm pretty sure in your home, and it happened to all of us, you have a picture, your abuela, somebody has a picture of white Jesus hanging on their wall somewhere. Or shrine to white Jesus, blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus, and all this stuff here, okay? Y'all are very white praising, and that even showed with your votes last year with the 2024 presidential vote, that more than 60% of y'all voted against your own interest to support white supremacy. And yet you're sitting here, you have the nerve to sit here and cry about not being represented in the movie. You wasn't represented in the movie because it wasn't your story. Okay? It wasn't your story. Okay? And he did. He put the tamale sign in there. And how do you know that he wasn't going to make a sequel or prequel to Sinners where he would have shown Latino people, but you spoke so damn soon? Okay? You spoke too damn soon. And here's the thing. There's a movie I want to see, Rosario. It deals with Latin, South American or pre-Columbian voodoo, like Payo Mayambe and all that. And I bet you there's not one black person in that movie. But I still want to see it because I like horror and I like mystical and spiritual stuff like that. I still want to see it. Regardless that there's no representation of me in the movie, I still want to see it. Why can't y'all just sit and watch a movie and not always make it about you? Like, seriously, why does everything have to include you? You don't include other people. Well, no, you don't include black people. A lot of black people in your stuff. And black people have accepted that, have been okay with that. It's birds flying over my head. And we're fine with that. But you don't see us crying, what about us? But that's what you guys do. And a lot of y'all who are anti-black, who talk about black people, who are racist to black people, yet you want to be incorporated in our way of life. That's weird. That's sick work to me. And I just want to ask, what is your obsession? What is your obsession with us? Okay? What is your obsession? And then you're sitting up here, dude. And then there was another Latin woman that says, I didn't like the movie Sinners. Guess what, sweetie? You're entitled to not like it. We're entitled to not care. We don't give a shit. Okay? We are going to celebrate this movie because it was a great movie. Okay? And it was a masterpiece. And I'm blown away by it. And I hope Ryan continues to make movies like this. This man was telling his story from his side. Ryan Coogler has roots in Mississippi. Okay? His family comes from Mississippi. So he was telling a story also from his perspective. Maybe from what his great uncle, his grandparents, or people told him how it was back in the day. My father's side of the family, as I specified, my mother's from the Caribbean. So she has no roots here. My father's side of the family is from the Carolinas. Okay? Straight out of there. straight out of the Carolinas. And North Carolina also too, like Mississippi, falling under Jim Crow. North and South Carolina, falling under the Jim Crow rules. Also too, has a lot of deep history as well too. From our food, to our music, to our spiritualism. A lot of deep history. Okay? Just watch the movie and enjoy it. If you don't like it, cool. We don't want to hear about it. We don't want to hear you're spoiled. Keep your opinions to yourself, boo-boo. Bye, Felicia. Okay? Well, what y'all need to do instead of worrying about black people representing y'all is you need to treat the black people in your community a lot better than how you've been treating them. You need to represent them. You need to represent them and stop treating them like they're unicorns and like they don't exist. They do exist, and they're a part of the community. And y'all need to stop trying to bury them alive because you're obsessed with whitewashing your culture, claiming that you descended from some conquistador and all this other crap. Still passing on that mejoró la raza bullshit. And you want to sit here talking about representation? Get out of here with that. Y'all need to clean up your own community before you come for us and come for anybody else. Okay? For real. Okay? That's how I say it. And I don't think all of y'all are like that. No. But a lot of y'all, like what I've noticed, and I said I've grown up around Latinos that think and act and behave like that. A lot of y'all are anti-black and a lot of y'all are white praising. A lot of y'all are. And that's sad. That's sad. And that's sad how you treat black people, but it's sad also too how you treat the black people in your community. How you just act like they're ashamed, like they're this black stain of disgust or something. That's a shame. You need to start treating them better before you come and ask somebody to represent you. And don't y'all brag that y'all the majority. We're the majority. So if this is a majority, why don't you have your people make your stories, write stories, and tell your stories about you the way that you would like them to be told, instead of, what about us? Oh man, really, Matthew? You need to stop trolling. You need to stop trolling, bro. Anyway, folks, this is my 2 cents. Baby Doll Soaps and Things signing off.